Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the weekly Phix. I'm your host, Phixem, and today we're going to be talking about Anthem, Anthem, and we're going to jump right into this because there's some important news. Apparently, EA has decided that they're going to have an internal review about the status of Anthem and decide its fate. Decide whether um, it lives or dies essentially. Now I don't, I don't know if that means just they're going to shut the servers off or if they're just going to leave the game as is and cease development. Because recently it was supposed, not recently, but not too long ago, they talked about um, Anthem 2.0 that was supposed to be this big, massive overhaul of the game. And I'm not going to go too far in depth into it, but just to give you a little bit of the life cycle with Anthem, it came out February 27, 2019, but it hit EA stores, EA Play, which is a subscription service that you can play, that you can buy. It hit it September 12th, 2019. So just to give you an idea, um, which I imagine most of you already know, of how quickly this game became somewhat free to play. I say somewhat just because the EA service, even though it's cheap for a year, you still have to pay for it. So, but essentially, it went on a it it went on sale very soon, and this was supposed to be a 10-year game, 10-year IP, and it didn't do well currently to this day. I checked today as I'm doing this, February 9th. As I'm doing this, it only has 23 viewers on Twitch. 23 people on Twitch right now. I think last year it had 2,500 concurrent players on Xbox in North America, which it's very bad, very bad. And I assume those numbers are not the same at this point. But just to give you an idea of what's kind of the state of this game right now, this game is not that old. It's not that old. It just came out early February 2019, and it has been it has been you know I want to say overwhelmingly underperformed when you talk about this game Anthem. Anytime you talk about Anthem, people bring up the trailer, or they bring up the glitches, they bring up the lack of content, and some people say there is content, but I like to differentiate what they what they mean by content. There may be things to do, but having things to do in a game does not necessarily mean good content. Reskinning an old mission may be content, however, it's a good, not really. Because some of that stuff, especially to an audience like myself and to a lot of other people, comes off as just filler. It doesn't come off as unique. It comes off as an excuse just to say, hey, we added this particular piece to a game without really actually doing a lot of work. It's kind of like, if you ever played some of the old Nintendo games, or played some of the old, Double Dragon, Jackal, Contra, all these other games, where enemies wouldn't necessarily look different from level to level. They would be the same enemy, just reskinned with a different color. And fast forward when we're in 2019, 2020, 2021, specifically with this game when it came out in 2019, you still have that kind of idea where instead of a game actually giving a new, more of a unique in-game experience, they kind of give you a more reskin, and people are not happy with that, which they shouldn't be. If you look at the trailer with the game, some of the stuff that was supposedly in-game engine was not. Tarsus, which I believe is like the home base of I'm like of your main character, does not look anywhere as near as plentiful and lively as the trailer would assume. I think actually one of the trailer missions where somebody just walks up to you and offers you a mission, I don't even think that exists in the game. Um, oh my gosh, I want to. What other things that happened with it? I think the tutorial weapon just happened to be one of the strongest weapons in the game, and if not the strongest weapon in the game. That was a problem for a while. The loot drops were a big problem in the game. You would grind hours and hours, and the loot wasn't necessarily rewarding, which was funny. An update actually gave more rewarding loot drops, but then they reversed it and actually toned it back down, which was kind of sucky for a lot of people who played it. Um, so that definitely wasn't fun. Um, some of the missions that were in the game just felt like, how can I put it? They didn't. They felt like they were just more in the way, as opposed to really expanding the story. Like, and the best way I can explain this as, so say for instance, if you made a mission like in Halo, where instead of you going to, a particular planet, say for instance, you got to repair your warthog for all my Halo fans out there, and you got to use that same warthog to, drive to a specific area. That you need to drive to. You can't just run to like Master Chief can. You had to drive to. An example of that would be the mission would be to collect 50 vials of gas. So you can put in this warthog, then you can drive. Now, does it play into the story? Yeah, because you need to use the warthog to do it. But 50 vials seems excessive, especially when it's just like, why do I need to? This feels like you're just trying to slow me down because you might not have much content to offer, so you make the missions themselves a little bit more mundane and a little bit more taxing and a little bit more extra, if I can say. But it's a whole bunch of points when it comes to the state of Anthem, the way it released, that I'm pretty sure at this point most people have seen a lot of it. Like seen a lot of it. They just seen the stories, they just seen the articles, they just seen the stuff with EA, the roadmap not living up to expectation. I don't even think there's a roadmap anymore. It was a roadmap when it released, but it's not anymore. Some of the DLC stuff, excuse me, is just not doing great. But one of the main point that I want to kind of lean into, given the state of Anthem, is, and I said this last year, and it's something that I'll just keep echoing as as my podcast goes along, is we have to, as a community of gamers and as people, regardless if you're a casual player, hardcore, and I say that lightly because you play games however you feel, and it's fine. But first is, there are some, and it's two sides of this. First, there are toxic people that are going to bash Anthem because it's just cool to bash Anthem. That's one thing. Those people, they're not really providing any substance. They're just angry because everybody else is angry. They really don't know why. Then there's people who love the game, and those people who love the game, hats off to you if you stick with it. If this is what you do after you get off of work and how you relax, do you. No, nobody is judging you. I'm definitely not judging you. Have fun with the game if that's what you like. And then there's people like me, people who followed they followed the stories, they followed the EA trailers, the trailers, all the things that came up until its release, and then we're waiting for all the things that were promised, like a No Man's Sky situation, and come to find out it was gutted with a lot of content and not living up to expectations, and it was just disappointing. Coming to the end, I'm like coming to that release, and you waited so long for a game, and they tell you this is going to be there. They're telling you see the trailer, it says in game, this is in game footage, and we're like, okay, well, if this is supposed to be in-game footage, then I can expect this, and this, because based off of what you're showing me. So you have people like me who see that, and they're like, that kind of sucks, because we feel like you just lied to us. And I feel like those are people who I'm kind of speaking to. If you love the game, I don't think it's anything that's I mean, if you love the game and you just don't know, then I may advise you just look and see what some of the people may be upset about, because some people don't read articles like a lot of us do. Some people don't read Kotaku and Gameran and PC Gamer, all these other articles and stuff that we read. But some people just buy the game because they see a trailer, they see a commercial, and they buy it. Simple as that. But if you want to understand why people are upset, because some people don't know, I encourage you to look in to see look up some information and see why people are upset based off some of the things that I said, because I mentioned a couple things, but there's a plethora of more things that can be said about this game. But to my people who understand, who understand it, just the people in general. If you looking at games and you enjoy games the way I do, I feel like it just kind of summarized this podcast up. We have to vote with our dollar. I think this is a great example of a game that sold. I believe it sold a couple million copies. However, I feel like even since it sold a couple million copies, I feel like a lot of people were upset about their purchase because we just didn't wait, a couple weeks to see a review to come out and to play it. Now, some people might say, well, Cyberpunk, fell flat on its face and this, that, and the other, which essentially it did. It fell flat on its face because of the bugs. The game itself has promise, but the bugs take away from that experience. So it definitely has problems. But Anthem, at its core, you can fix all the bugs. The game is still an issue in itself. It's that bad. But I think as a whole, as a gamer, as a community, we got to start voting with our dollar. We got to start holding these game companies accountable. And this hype train business, and man, these companies are so good on doing it. They're good at building hype around these games. They're good at getting these A-list celebrities. They're good at getting all these things to get us to buy the game, to get us to invest in the game. And when we play the game, it's not what we expected. And I think for me, and what I suggest to a lot of my friends is just wait for it to become reviewed, wait for to see some of these actual reviews and stuff that comes out with the game, see some of these reliable sources, because some of these YouTubers, some of these content creators are paid by these people, paid by these gaming companies to give biased reviews. Some of the review copies some of these companies get, like Cyber 2077, they only give PC versions so they can get a certain particular review for their game so it looks good. We gotta hold these places games more accountable, because I don't Anthem definitely won't be the last, because Cyberpunk released the year after that. The year before that, I think it was No Man's Sky. I think around that time was Battlefront. Battlefront 2. There's always going to be these games that are going to try to bank off of getting you hyped for a game, that's going to try to bank getting you sold on a particular product without actually delivering on what they said. And I encourage you all, and I want to hold myself to that same standard too when it comes to games. I love video games, but I want to continue to hold these people accountable, because I don't think it's fair that you charge full price for a game and to also not deliver on the product. And at the very core, if I can just summarize this whole podcast, this is what Anthem has kind of turned into: a game that sold us on an idea of what it was, and it not being what it could be. They sold us on this gourmet burger that was supposed to be this Wagyu beef, with this beautiful lettuce, tomato, fancy bacon, all this nice stuff, and what we got was, I don't know, was a market burger on some blue ribbon bread, and but they still charge the same price. And I think a lot of us, if we hop off these hop off these hype trains, excuse me, and we take time to look at it, because sometimes it is hard. Sometimes you want a game to deliver. Like for instance, the Star Wars open world that's coming out. I want that game to be great. I absolutely want it to be great. I have a whole lot of ideas of what I want that game to be. But I know Ubisoft, and a lot of us know how Ubisoft is. So sometimes I got to tell myself, as much as I love it, let me wait. Let me wait to see what it is. Let me wait to see when it actually get released, until people actually get their hands on it. A lot of these is some YouTubers that are maybe that may be under a paycheck and maybe on a price tag, but some of them are really good. Some of these outlets are really good, and they'll give honest reviews. Take your time. And I know I have to do that, because sometimes I want to just go and I want to get it the day when it comes out, and I don't like being disappointed in that fashion. And as a community gamers, I don't want you guys to be disappointed either. It sucks to spend $50, $60 on a game, and now which will be $70 on a game, and somebody just completely lied about it. You know, at the end of the day, and to kind of bring this to a close, we wanted Anthem to be great. I thought Anthem would have been a great game. At its whole, I wanted to be great. It'd have been fun just play with friends and just to be able to live my Iron Man dreams that I wanted to. But unfortunately, EA is deciding the fate on the game now because of a dwindling player base, promises that have been not kept, glitches, a disconnect from their own community, from their own player base that cares about the game, and a failure to communicate and lack of transparency. So maybe Anthem next, or the next version of Anthem will be better, and this will be all behind us. Like No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky got better. They dug deep. They put their heads down and they decided to work on it, and it's a better game now. It launched. It again. It didn't live up to expectation on launch because they lied about it, like some things. However, the game is now what they promised. So that's all the time I have for today. I hope you guys have a great day. Have a great February. Happy Black History Month. And I'll see you again in the next episode. Peace.